Hello YouTube. This is the new setup. The microphone, GoPro clipped to the stroller for the morning walk. It's been a few weeks. I've recorded 2 things and just am never gonna upload them. For no reason other than that, well, for reasons. One of them was a little bit personal and I probably divulged a little bit too many things about my activities. And the second of which was just like 3 weeks ago. Jesus Christ, these fucking dogs. Our neighbors have these dogs and they are the fucking worst. There's 2 of them, and anytime anyone even drives past, they go crazy and they're about to completely disrupt the flow of my monologue right now. Shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up. No one cares what you fuckers have to say. I antagonize them a little bit because I can't fucking stand them. They drive me fucking crazy. These neighbors got one dog, right? They got this one like pit-looking dog. He was a little puppy, and he would come and bark at us when we walked by. And we were like, you know what? He's just a little puppy. It's fine. He'll get better. Like whatever. And he grew a little bit and got louder. And then they got another dog. And the other dog is twice as aggressive as the first one. And the second one is a lab. So it just goes to show that, like, you know, you think the pit would be very aggressive as far as the dog stereotypes, and the lab might temper him or like chill him out, I guess. But no, the pit is less aggressive than the lab, who is ferocious and like tried to bite pork chop last time they encountered each other on a regular walk. The lab's a piece of shit. See if this is, how do you set the GoPro so the front screen just stays on? I need to see myself. I need to make sure I'm in frame. So, anyway, yeah, I recorded 2 things. One of them, I just decided it would be good judgment not to put on the internet because I was a little manic and talking about some illegal activities. And the other one, it's just been like 2 weeks, so it's like old by this point. Anyway, in our last update, I was dealing with potentially getting sick and having to handle the disappointment of what should have been a very nice weekend turning into a sick weekend. And it wound up still being a pretty nice weekend. I did manage to handle it better than I probably typically would have. And I'm going to try to carry that mindful energy on into the future. My in-laws did wind up coming. We did not wind up having COVID. We tested. And we did wind up going on our date, and I didn't get sick. So like, it really was a pretty good situation, except for the fact that my wife did get sick and has kind of been sick since. Like, it's been like 3 weeks now. And she's just like constantly been battling something. Now she is entering her 3rd trimester of pregnancy. So like her immune system has just been terrible for the entire like pregnancy pretty much. Oh, pork chop here. Just my dog taking a shit on an incline at like the most blind curve that our neighborhood has to offer. So yeah, my wife's just been sick since then. Like, never terribly, and I'm really appreciative of like the fact that she has not been sick enough to not be able to help with the boy. She's been her usual, mostly helpful self. But like, bad enough that it's preventing her from doing things that she likes to do, like go to yoga 8 days a week, then work out all the time, and I guess that's all it's preventing her from doing. But, you know, it sucks. And like, you know, I kind of don't love the fact that she's obviously been coming down with something while she's got my little daughter in her womb. So there's that. But we're doing all right otherwise. I'm doing all right otherwise. I'm very happy about the weather finally changing. It's early March right now. I know we're in somewhere between false spring and fool's spring. Certainly not spring yet, but I'll take it. It's like 50 degrees right now, which for me is perfect weather. And the reason that I like 50, even 45, is because when you like get your blood all hot, you're then comfortable. If it's like 70 degrees and I'm going on this walk even, by the time I get to the top of the hill I'm walking up right now, I'm gonna be fucking sweating and extremely uncomfortable. I get hot real quick. So like 50, when I get to the top of this hill, I'm gonna be great. Beautiful, cool breeze, feeling like the splash of fresh river water on my skin. Oh yeah. Getting a little window into the neighborhood. When springtime comes, I'm gonna do one of these, but probably have the GoPro on the little stick so that I can actually show you guys how beautiful it gets. It's just a suburb like any other, but we do live in one of the most beautiful places in the world, the Hudson Valley of New York. We're in the mid-Hudson Valley. So there's Lower Hudson, Mid-Hudson, and I don't know what the top one is called. I'd imagine High Hudson, Northern Hudson Valley, maybe. We're like just past where the Lower Hudson Valley would be considered. We're like just into Mid-Hudson Valley. Anyway, one of the most beautiful places in the world. Very hilly. Whew. And the foliage that we get is amazing. All 4 seasons. Well, all 2 important seasons. Fall and the spring. The foliage that we get is off the fucking chain. In the springtime we have like dogwoods and cherry blossoms and, you know, the fruit and apple and apricot and fruit. Yeah, the fruit trees, the stone fruit trees are all blooming. Can't wait. It's gonna be great. Got like a month to go. So our usual loop that we do is basically just like our neighborhood cul-de-sac, but we're gonna extend it a little bit today because I don't have any meetings for work until 11:30 and it's not even 10 yet. Trying to get the steps in. It's very beautiful and I'm in a good mood, so why not draw it out a little? I'm gonna adjust this camera. Does this be better? Ooh, what if I did this? Show me myself. That makes me feel a little better. Like right in the center of the screen. Maybe this was fine. Maybe this is fine. Maybe I'm just tripping out. Yeah, this is fine. Yeah, those are our 2 hills done. So yeah, I've been like pretty good. Nothing really eventful has been happening. Just sort of getting through the pregnancy. Oh, there's some buds on the trees. Oh man, that's a dogwood that we're passing right now. I'm not gonna show you guys, it's just buds on the trees, you know what they look like. But that tree, these 2 trees we're passing in particular get very beautiful. One of them is a pink dogwood and one's a white dogwood, and the leaves kind of overlap each other. So it gets really stunning. Yeah, so we're gonna elongate the walk a little bit, trying to get my steps in, trying to get my, you know, summer body on, which is tough because like I work out all the time. I do a lot of cardio, I fucking like weight train, I do, you know, whatever. But I also eat so much that like I basically am just constantly maintaining like a decent diet, but like certainly one that doesn't make too many sacrifices. So I've been making some light sacrifices over the last few weeks, and I'm hoping to continue to do so. It's hard because like, I mean, I haven't been smoking weed, right? That makes it a lot easier. But I do have all these edibles that I got. There's like an actual weed store near us now. It's not that near. It's like a half-hour drive away. But it is a legal weed store. Not that I don't have a guy. But like, you know, dealing with a drug dealer, you call the guy. And like, he's gonna come when he comes, you know? Usually it's a few days for me, which is plenty of time for me to think to myself, oh, no, you don't need to buy this weed. Come on, man, you're not smoking like that. But the store, you just go and get it, you know? I didn't go and get it. They deliver, that's the the real thing. But I got a bunch of edibles delivered last week. But the edibles don't really give me the munchies like flour does, which is nice. They give me the munchies, don't get me wrong, but it's just like easier to resist. Lately I've been smoking flour and like I get the munchies and they're just irresistible. There's nothing I can do about it. There is something, I could just say no and not go crazy. But the thing is, I justify it. My stone brain, I'm like, look, you're in great shape, man. You can have one bad day, it's not a big deal. But one bad day quickly turns into two. So what's been on my mind lately? This has been a very rambly walk. And I've got like 5 subscribers on this channel now. So I feel some degree of obligation to have a purpose to this. But I guess that's kind of defeating the purpose of the channel, which is just have an archive of my boring bullshit. What's been on my mind is just that this is going to be a great spring, and I'm looking forward to my daughter being born, which is really nice because before my son was born, whom you guys are clipped to right now, he's right there, I was really looking forward to fall. He was born November 11th. Yeah, that's a crow pork chop. So like, his due date was the end of October. So like all of late summer, I always get really sick of summer and start looking forward to fall like a lot, especially by late August. So like as we got into September, I just knew it was gonna be the best fall that I'd ever had. And like my reasoning was that like looking forward to the baby being born, he's born, I'm gonna go on paternity leave. So like I get a month off, which is really nice. But like I also had nothing to do. So I was able to just like sit around smoking weed all the time and like going to the gym at like 10 o'clock in the morning, which I don't do anymore. I go at 6 now. And just like going, relaxing and really like focusing on the fact that I had a little baby boy on the way. But this time it's really different. This time I have the boy, but some of the parallels are that I was looking forward to the weather changing and like the fall being just all about my new son, the theme of the fall. And this time I'm looking forward to the spring, and the theme of the spring is welcoming my daughter. And she's not due until June, so like it'll pretty much be summer, but still, same thing. All right, so where we're walking right now is the end of our cul-de-sac, and there's like a water pump building or whatever, pump house, I don't know what they're called. And it says no trespassing all over the place, but there is a trail. And so I grew up in the city, as I mention all the time on all of my channels, because it's such a core part of my personality, I guess. I grew up in Brooklyn, and I'm used to being able to walk where I want to go. And up here, there's really nowhere we can walk to. Pork chop, you're gonna make this difficult for me? There's a gate that we need to like go around right now. Pork chop, get over here. She is trying to go under it. Pork chop, around. So I really miss being able to walk places. Now our cul-de-sac abuts another like town or neighborhood or whatever. And that little town or neighborhood has got a really good Mexican place in it. So if I could find a way to get from our little enclave to the next little enclave, well then, I'll be able to walk to a Mexican restaurant and drink some margaritas. The problem is, am I visible here? There's no fucking way. Yeah. Okay, we're gonna fix this. The problem is, god damn it, this is just like a little bit off either direction. The problem is that there is no actual way to get to the other cul-de-sac without cutting through some backyards, which I'm pretty prepared to do, though I would rather not. But what I discovered recently is that if you keep going to the end of like the dead end at the end of our little enclave and you trespass a little bit, which is what I'm doing now, but we're trespassing on like county land or state land or some shit. We're not in anyone's backyard. Then you come to a trail, and through that trail you can see the next little enclave, the one that has the Mexican restaurant. Now, even if I were to make it to that enclave, it would be like a 40-minute walk to the Mexican restaurant. Like, this is not going to be something that's convenient by any means, but I want to see if I can. And this was not planned today. This wasn't even planned until I got there, and I couldn't resist the urge. But here we are now. We're on the path that goes to the other enclave, fully trespassing and pushing the stroller on some rocks. You good there, little boy? Yeah, he's good. But I just want to see where this goes. I want to see the end game here. And if it works, I'll probably bring the camera on the adventure of walking to get a drink when you live in the burbs. Okay, this is very rocky. We're almost past the rocks. All right, right through the water. That's right, pork chop. All right. The worst thing that could happen right now would be some pickup truck coming and being like, you can't be here. But you know what? Really? Like, what's gonna happen? What are they gonna do? They're not gonna fucking arrest me. Maybe I'll get a little citation, but I doubt it. And this does not look like a very, well, I say this isn't a very truck-friendly road. It isn't, but there are certainly tracks for vehicles that I'm walking on right now. Oh, there's a lot of shit back here, too. And, like, if I were walking alone, I might be a little bit concerned that one of these, there's some houses whose backyards are pretty much, like, right here. I might be concerned that one of them was going to call the cops. But, like, so you really got to call the cops on a dad with his stroller and his dog? Come on. Not gonna happen. Probably. And if it does, I'll charm my way out of it. So yeah, I'm just in like stasis. In pre-daughter stasis. But it's a good kind of stasis. And I'm trying to love my little boy as much as I can. I mean, I certainly am. I'm obsessed with the kid. He makes me so happy. Because, you know, my wife keeps talking about how she feels guilty because she was able to focus so much on, well, she feels guilty for two reasons. She feels guilty because she was able to focus so much on my son before he was born and like preparing and stuff. And she feels like she can't do that with our daughter, which like, you know, she can't, but also like all the preparation she did for our son applies to our daughter. Like, it's not like it's completely invalid for the second birth. Like, all the facts and shit that she knows now. She doesn't have to do the same amount of research. But she also says she feels guilty because soon she's not going to have as much time for our son. And, like, she'll have to split herself between two children, and he'll have to share her. And, like, he's, you know, how could he possibly prepare for that? And my response to that is, true, he will. And true that he will not like it, probably. But, like, also true, it's good for him to have to share you a little bit, you know? Like, we've met only children. They're fine. If any of you guys are only children, I'm sure you're absolute delights. But, like, it is good. Sometimes only children tend to develop a little bit of what we would refer to as, like, an only child complex. And I think it's a little character building to need to, you know, learn to share your mother at a young age. Plus everything that he's gonna gain from having a little sister, you know? I certainly love having siblings now, you know, as a grown-up. As a kid, I didn't love it that much, but like, at the same time, my like childhood wasn't that idyllic. It was in some ways, but in a lot of ways it was not amazing. You know, sometimes parents aren't as like mature as they need to be to raise kids without passing on the issues that the parents have. And that's fine. You know, it happens to all of us. Like, one of my goals is to not give my anger issues to either of my children. But like, I struggle with that. I'm not great at it, you know? It's something that I'm constantly working on and that I'm constantly failing at as well. And so I'm not trying to say that like my parents were bad parents by any means, but they could have been a lot better about not passing on their issues to me, or making, to any of the kids, or making the kids like responsible for things that they should have been responsible for, you know, like their happiness. Like, it's tough as a kid to be told that you are responsible for things that the adults in your life should be taking care of. And I'll give a really good example. We're gonna turn around because I have no idea where this goes, and it's getting rocky and muddy, and like the best time to do this would be probably without the stroller. All right, Melon, we're going back now. I'll give an example. When I was young, and not that young, when I was a kid, my house was always extremely messy. I mean, like, very messy. Not quite like hoarder's status, but like not, definitely on the way there, you know? Like, I still have dreams to this day about needing to go down and, like, we had a finished basement, but it was always just like full of shit to varying degrees. And I still have dreams that I have to go into the basement and like clear it out of things. To this day, every once in a while I have one. It wasn't just a basement, like the whole house was, my mom had a tendency to start projects and not finish them, so the whole house was just full of half-finished projects. Like, one year in like 1998, my mom decided that she was sick of the white paint on our banister, and so she decided completely on a whim that she was gonna strip the whole banister, and there was a big like central staircase in our house. We grew up in Dimmons Park in Brooklyn, so like nice Victorian house, pretty big. When I say idyllic, I mean in some ways idyllic. That's one of the idyllic ways. Our house is very beautiful. And there was this big central staircase that wound around and went from the bottom, from the first floor of the house, all the way to the third floor of the house. And my mom decided one day that she hated that it was white, and that she was gonna strip it and then stain the wood underneath. And so the banister was like in a state of half strippedness until we moved, until like I went to college, until we lost the house. Banister never got stripped fully. It was a little bit stripped for the rest of the time that we were there. And it was never even like she like, for a long time, she had put the stripper on there and never even scraped it off. So there were parts of it that just had like dried paint stripper on it for years. And so between that, like I've told you, the basement being an actual probable like symptom of hoarding, the basement would have been our worst room. Oh, we're almost out of the rocks, honey. You're doing a good job. Thank you for rolling with Daddy. I think you got a pretty good idea of what the house was like. And my parents blamed the kids for it, like completely blamed us for it. It was our fault, and pretty much any like weekend that we had, 3-day weekends especially, like any time that we were not at school, we were expected to finally get the house in shape. And it wouldn't be like, all right guys, like, you know, we all need to work together to find a better system so that this doesn't wind up happening. It would be like, kids, we have let you live like this for too long. You just do whatever you want. You get everything that you want. You guys are so spoiled, and now it's gonna change. And this weekend, we're waking you up at 8 in the morning, and all you're gonna do is clean. And this would happen every weekend. And it was especially anxiety inducing for me because like, I didn't get everything that I wanted, you know? Like, I had to like fight and lie and like do so much to even construct a tiny little bit of a life for myself, you know? In terms of like being able to go out, being able to see people, being able to hang out with my friends and do the things that teenagers do. The things that are the most important to a teenager. I had to fight so hard for them, and it wasn't easy, and it was very anxiety inducing to have to do all that. So like, when like, you feel like you don't have anything anyway, and you feel like you're already at such a disadvantage compared to all of your friends. Come on, poor cat. Come on. Get off of there. Don't eat. She eats animal shit, and you need to completely pull her off of it. And she's gotten herself sick eating animal shit a number of times. Our genius little golden doodle. So yeah, when you feel like you're already struggling, and when you feel like you already are missing so much, it's really difficult to hear your parents be like, the gravy train is stopping here, you know? It's like, there is no gravy train. This has been miserable. And like, here we are doing the same thing over and over again to try to make it less miserable. And invariably, you know, the like work that we would wind up doing would be just like treading water, you know, like hard labor that didn't actually address any of the underlying issues in why our home was just in a constant state of deconstructed disarray. Like nothing we did was going to change that. My parents needed to change that. But what they would do instead is just make us move things, you know, like go to the basement and like sort the never-ending pile of garbage that was down there. Or like a big one was the laundry room. The laundry room was just constantly, there was always a carpet of clothes that was like a foot deep on the floor of the laundry room. So like a lot of my mom's just default punishment would just be like, now you're gonna go to the laundry room for, you know, however many hours and just work down there. But like what she didn't know is that the laundry room was so fucked that like no amount of work you did ever actually showed. So like she would send us down there, I'd bring a book and I would just sit on the clothes and read for a few hours, you know? And when she would look at it, it was such a mess beforehand that like she wouldn't be able to say whether I worked down there or not, you know? Like, and she would always say that I didn't. And sometimes I did, sometimes I didn't. It was never enough. She always yelled at me. So eventually I was just like, fuck it, I'm not gonna fucking do this anymore. Good girl, pork chop. Well, that was an interesting foray down the path. We're going back to the regular loop now. Yeah, so like that was awful. I hated that. And I really don't want to do that to my kids. Like, what my parents should have been able to do, oh, and also I forgot the best part. My mom especially, when she would be having us do this, she would just sit on the couch and watch TV the whole time. She would just sit on the couch and watch TV the whole time. And like, you don't need to be that old to see that that's unfair. So we would say stuff to her about it. And her response would always be like, this isn't my fault, so I'm not helping with it. When like she was the mother, the matriarch of the household, like it very much was her fault. It was her fault much more than it was me and my siblings' fault. But she would sit on the couch and she would tell us that she was perfectly entitled to do so because we were the reason that the house was so messy. And the house being so messy was the reason that she was so unhappy, you see. So we were the reason that she was so unhappy, and it was our responsibility to fix it, and it was not her responsibility to help in any capacity whatsoever, except for by yelling at us, shaming us, telling us that the things were our fault, and like, you know, turning the TV off every few hours to come and check on us and tell us that we weren't doing anything right. It was really awful. And it has given me issues to this day. Anytime we had a 3-day, like I preferred having school. Because like I knew I could go and see my friends and be out of the house. And I knew that I could like make up a reason to stay late at school and just like hang out there. By my senior year of high school, if I wasn't hanging out at my girlfriend's house, I was playing Magic in school, like just staying late, finding an empty classroom and playing Magic the Gathering with my friends and telling my parents that I was working on something. And like, they thought I was off doing drugs the whole time. I wasn't. I did some drugs, but not a ton of them, and not, especially not like junior and senior year. My girlfriend at the time was very anti-weed, so like I barely ever even smoked. All that is to say that I really don't want to do the same thing to my son or my daughter or any other future children that I may have. Because it really sucked as a kid to feel like you were the reason that your parents were unhappy. And it makes me so angry as an adult not as a parent even. It makes me angry just as an adult to see people refusing to be responsible for their situations. And as a parent, it makes me, I'm enraged and outraged and completely like taken aback that my parents did such a terrible job of being responsible for their own situations. And were so happy to completely offload it onto their children. It was wildly unfair, and I really resent it. Like, it makes me so mad. But no point in being mad about it, I guess. The best that I can do is just not do that to my kids, and I'm not going to. And you know what's great? Like, even if I were to fall victim to that mindset, which I know that like I'm prone to just because of the way that I was raised, like I don't think I'm gonna. And I try to like be as accountable and responsible for my shit as an adult as I can, purely in like rebellion of that mindset. But just because I was raised that way, I feel like it's kind of like a child of alcoholics, right? Like who like completely stays away from alcohol, but also feels like they could still be an alcoholic if the temptation were strong enough, you know? That's how I feel about it. Like, I know that I'm capable of doing this to my son. But the good thing is, first of all, I don't think I'm gonna, because I'm so fucking mindful of this shit. And my wife would never let it happen. Like, my parents enabled the worst parts of each other in a lot of ways that I don't quite understand, you know, because my dad's not around anymore, so I can't really talk to him about it. And my mom is not capable of talking about our childhood without telling complete falsehoods about it. They had some kind of weird toxic enabling dynamic that resulted in both of them unloading their bullshit onto their kids in different but probably equally unhealthy ways. Bless you, sweetheart. My dad was very angry. I've mentioned his anger issues before. And he would, in his worst moments, be so angry that he would just scream at us. Just yell, just like utter aggression. And sometimes he would say like mean things while he was yelling, but mostly it was just the yelling itself. But my mom, she would get angry enough that she would scream at us, but she also would say like deeply hurtful things to us, and she would say them over and over again for extended periods of time. Pork chop, come here, honey. There's a dog coming. Come here, Bubs. You leave that dog alone. And so both of those things were harmful in different ways. I'm inclined to say my mom damaged me more, but like, I don't know, you know? I certainly don't know, because I definitely have a better handle on the issues that I think my mom like imparted onto me than I do the ones that my dad gave me. I think my dad's responsible for my rage issues, and those are the hardest for me to deal with. My mom's responsible for my pork chops. Stop it. Stop it. For my tendency to be Machiavellian and to only care about myself and to not be responsible for myself and to try to manipulate my way out of situations that are completely my fault. Like, all of that comes from my mom. And all of that is a lot easier for me to handle than simply being very mad and not lashing out at those around me. Doesn't really matter, I guess, which parent fucked me up more. And this is not really what I planned on going into this vlog talking about, but I guess it's on my mind. I've been wanting to do like a deep deconstruction of like all the stories of my childhood for a long time, because let me tell you, and I'm sure this is true for a lot of people, but a fucking novel, like an Augusten Burroughs novel, that level of insanity happened in my childhood. Like mostly like from when I was like 16, 17 to like 20 to 25, I guess, now, because it's still ongoing. I'm probably gonna do that eventually. But I guess today's not the day. Maybe next time. Maybe next time I will. Maybe I'll just incorporate like a story into each of these little vlogs that I have when I'm just meandering or aimlessly around thoughts and don't really have any specific thing to talk about or piece of information to confer to you guys or whatever. But hey, in the meantime, it's a beautiful day, and I have so much to look forward to. My boy's walking now, which has opened up just such a world of possibility for us, you know? Like, previously, during the day, I could go places with him, and I did. It was mostly errands, though, you know? Like, go grocery shopping, go get things we need for the house, go get whatever the thing is. And the problem with that is there's only so many errands you can really do. But I couldn't do anything else with him. He wasn't walking. Like, what am I going to do? Where am I going to take him? Take him to the library. I do take him to the library once a week for the baby group. Now that he can walk, we can go to playgrounds, you know? That's really the big thing. The other day, we were going to go walk around the mall, but I didn't look, and the mall doesn't open till 11 on weekdays, which is fucking crazy. Maybe 10. Later than we were there. So we wound up just going to a state park, and we walked on a trail. And like, we walked a total of like a quarter mile probably, because he was walking, and he's very slow because of his tiny little legs, and he's very distractible. But still, like, I can go somewhere and walk with him now, which is so nice. And as he gets bigger, it's just gonna be, there's gonna be more things that open up to us, and I'm really looking forward to that. And like, you know, I love the toddler phase, I love the baby phase, I love like all of the phases I've had with my boy so far, and will love the same phases with my girl so far. I mean, when they come. But something I'm really looking forward to is when he's like 5 or 6, and she's like 3 or 4, and they're both walking and talking and like engaging with me, and I just have them during the day, and we get to just pick what we do, and we'll go to playgrounds, and we can go to like a diner together, and we can do all these things, and they'll be able to tell me what they want, and we'll be able to have little conversations, and they'll love me, and they'll love spending time with me. It's gonna be so great. I can't wait. I'm looking forward to it so much. So we'll leave on that note, a positive one. Sorry it took so long to update this, all you viewers and future self and children and everyone who I know gets so much pleasure out of being updated on the inanity of my suburban dadhood. But maybe we'll be more consistent in the future. Who knows? When I started this vlog, I was always talking about how I was the most consistent man and I was doing this every single day. That was very tongue-in-cheek, and if you didn't know it then, you certainly know it now. I have problems with consistency. It's almost as if I picked something up from the staircase banister stripping actions of my mother. See you next time.